Nina Schick is a policy analyst for Open Europe, joins us from our central London studio now. Nina, welcome to you. Sanctions, I mean, we've been talking to a couple of analysts this morning who are pretty fatalistic about it, saying, look, there's no point in having sanctions because at the end of the day, this regime in Kiev would rather sort of go down. They're so closely associated with Russia that sanctions can make no impact on them. They know they're in an existential struggle to survive.
Well, the sanctions would be largely symbolic, as your Brussels correspondent just pointed out. The EU needs to be seen as doing something in this situation. So it wouldn't have any immediate effect. Even though there'd be targeted sanctions at individuals, it's unlikely that those sanctions would at least mean that they couldn't have any access to financial resources. Now, the interesting thing about this whole sanctions debate from the EU perspective is that whilst countries like Germany and France, indeed at a press conference yesterday, the German Chancellor and the French President came out saying that they would back possible sanctions, have been pushing for these sanctions in Ukraine, that has not been the unanimous feeling across the EU member states. Countries such as Italy, Netherlands, Spain have said precisely that they don't want to have sanctions because they fear it would push the Ukrainian government into the arms of Putin.
There is a sense, isn't there, Nina, in which this country just doesn't work as it's currently constituted, and there's an argument that says, look, don't try and paper over the cracks because they'll just reopen at a later date. Better instead actually to push for some sort of formal partition and accept that when you've got a country that's so divided between East and West like this, that sundering a country might be the only answer long term.
Well, the analysis of Ukraine has been very much divided between those that are the pro-Europe forces and the pro-Russia forces, but actually it's much more complicated than that. Even within those two general categories, there are groups within who are pro-Putin, against Putin, so it's actually much more complex. And some analysts would say that for Ukraine to progress, what needs to happen is that the EU needs to work closely with Russia, indeed, to find a solution in Ukraine that is beneficial to all.
OK, Nina Schick, thanks very much indeed. Nina Schick from Open Europe joining us.